Where there's a gap in income and health, you can expect to find less access to healthy food. One attempt to narrow the gap is a new grocery store in Dorchester called Daily Table. The business plan is to sell food that's surplused by producers and other retailers, and by keeping the prices low, there's hope that more healthy food will be more affordable. Before starting the venture, our guest was the president of another food business, Trader Joe's. We'd like to welcome the founder of Daily Table, Doug Rauch. Thank you very much for being with us.
It's great to be here.
This seems to be quite a leap from Trader Joe's to this new adventure in Cotton Square.
It is quite a leap. And, Trader Joe's is a great company. I spent 31 years there. And when I retired, I graduated 7 years ago this month. I actually had no idea exactly what I'd be doing. So I did this wonderful fellowship at Harvard called the Advanced Leadership Initiative. That out of that came this idea about how to tackle a major social issue we're challenged with. And I will say that, fortunately, I put many of the things I learned in the years in the food business into practice, but that other than that, they're very unrelated businesses, obviously.
Well, one of the things that I guess you're intrigued by, or maybe alarmed by, is how much food that I guess is still edible that goes into the trash.
Yeah, it's amazing. According to the USDA, 33 to 40% of everything we grow in America is never consumed. That's a staggering amount. We're the richest nation in the history of the world in food production. So when you start talking about that, there's some baffling statistics. For anyone that's concerned about the environment, 25% of all of our potable water in the United States is used to grow food we throw out. That if wasted food was a separate country, it would be the third largest generator of greenhouse gases behind the US and China. So there's some staggering environmental issues, but Daily Table is really about taking one challenge, which is all this wasted food, and using it to solve really what I think is a more pernicious and relevant for us as citizens issue, which is the 1 in 6 Americans that are really struggling to eat well.
Well, first of all, you give me a little bit more detail on the difference between food that is maybe discardable but still with value.
Yeah. Well, first of all, oftentimes this is referred to as food waste. It's a phrase that I've come to actually not like because for the obvious reason that nobody in America wants a second helping of food waste. So there's food waste, which is waste that came from food. And sanitation departments or compost heaps rightly should handle that. Then there is wasted food. And wasted food is food that's going to be wasted, that's perfectly healthy, it's excess. Sometimes it's cosmetically blemished. There's a couple examples I can give of this. One is at the Boston public market up here, the Chelsea, the produce market, that we were up there and we were looking for just introducing ourselves. We're going to be coming, we're opening up. If you have any extra produce that's good and wholesome and healthy at the end of the day, we're a 501c3, that's a nonprofit. We'll be happy to take it and you get an extra donation for that. IRS is, very generous that way. So they said, well, did you bring your truck today? It's like, well, no, we're just here introducing ourselves. I said, oh, it's too bad. See those couple of pallets of mangoes? They're going to be discarded. Oh, what's wrong with those mangoes? They're almost ripe. Almost ripe. That was the only thing wrong with them. They were too far along the ripe stage to send them out to a grocer and through their distribution system. And we picked up thousands of pounds of bananas now that were just a shade past the green stage that grocers like to receive things. So there's that type. So that's one type. The other one is that there's the issue of display codes or code dates, which is very confusing. Not 1 in 100 Americans understands it's not federally regulated, that it is a display code, not an expiration date, that when something says sell by or best by, that's when a retailer would stop selling it to you, but giving you then adequate time to use it. So there's a lot of ways in which food that's perfectly healthy, wholesome, often just excess, is being wasted right now.
And you're trying to manage this inventory at a time when the city is on high alert about food. I know it's got to do with restaurants and food trucks, but I guess you got to watch this to be very careful.
Well, you have to be very careful with this stuff. But to be really clear, we are currently not handling any food that's at or past its display code. And we're doing this One, because it turns out we haven't needed to. We are getting plenty of perfectly beautiful product donated that we're able to pick up, or that manufacturers, I'd say about half of what we have in the store is from donations. The other half is product we purchased. But we were able to get some special arrangements, special deals, manufacturers that have excess inventory that, because we're a nonprofit, are willing to sell it to us inexpensively. So I think that you have to be very careful. And obviously, Boston Health Department is very concerned about this, rightly so. And so we've been working closely with them to make sure that all the right protocols, and I mean, we've got the full inspection. We had the assistant commissioner down to the store to make sure everything looked all right before we opened. And so, and we applaud that. We are happy to work with them as partners.
Talk about the gap that you're trying to close. This isn't just about selling food cheap, because that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
You are selling cheap. But the gap is also about nutrition and quality, and I guess getting away from processed foods into stuff that you can make at home that would be more healthy.
That's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. This isn't just about, it turns out in hunger, when you really study this, hunger in America isn't like it is throughout the history of mankind, or as much of the developing world. Hunger in America is sometimes the poster child for hunger in America, you can say, is an obese person. That hunger in America is a shortage of nutrients, not a shortage of calories. And so when you figure that out, then you realize the solution isn't just giving them something to eat, that because the answer isn't a full stomach. The answer is a healthy meal. Much of these 49 million Americans, of which 17 million are children, are eating way too many calories a day. But it's empty calories, it's junk food, it's sugar water, it's, you know, junk for breakfast. So, and when you look at why is this happening, you realize it's because nutrients are expensive and empty calories are cheap. And economically, they can't afford, when they hear they should eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. You know, we all know produce is pretty expensive on a per calorie basis. So the idea of Daily Table is, can we go out and actually deliver affordable nutrition, food that's actually healthy, that'll move you forward. It's not going to create, you know, type 2 diabetes and heart disease and stroke and obesity and all the issues that we're struggling with as a society. And how do we bring affordability to the foods that we ought to be eating to the 1 in 6 so that all Americans have access to that? And that was the concept behind Daily Table.
All right, well, thank you very much for being with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Doug Rauch from Daily Table at 450 Washington Street, right at the corner of Park Street. Up next, Chris Harding previews this weekend's Beacon Hill Art Walk after this message.